Hello there and welcome to my channel. Today marks the start of a new project. Now we've just finished this project, which is a full upgrade of a 3018 CNC router, which I think is probably the best start if you were interested in CNC routers or lasers, because I bought a 5.5 watt laser with this as well. Plus I bought a 300 watt spindle motor, or little rotor motor, which I upgraded this to, and also the power unit that supplies it. And I put a third rail over the back. And I made some 15 or 16 videos here that you can have a look through every aspect of making this, all the upgrades, and how to use it. And why I did that is because I was getting lots of emails from people saying, well, we'd like to get into CNC routing and or laser work, but it's all too expensive. Well, you can get into it for less than 350 bucks. I've thrown a little bit more money at this, another probably $150 to upgrade it, to make it, make things like, 3D carving in hardwood, which it will do now, and also nice bit of laser etching work, which it will also do. Okay, as a result of me doing this, and like I say, I would recommend this as a good starting point for you to teach yourself, with free programs as well, how to operate a CNC router and or laser, and get used to using the programs that support them, and also putting it together and learning what makes them tick. So while I was doing this, a lot of people emailed me and also in comments saying, oh, we like this, but we would like something a bit bigger and more substantial, and we'd like to make it ourselves. So that's what this next series of videos is all about. I am going to design and make a CNC router that you can really do something with, a small version with a table size probably about as big as this table this is sat on, about 450 millimeters by 450 millimeters, about 150 millimeter in Z, and it's going to be fairly solid. And I'm going to make it in such a way that you can make it at home using, sort of fairly simple tools. So the way I'm going to design and construct this CNC router is, I suppose you would call it a modular unit, because the Y and the X axes will be identical. Okay, in other words, the makeup of them will be identical. So you're only actually making one design. I'll show you a little bit more about that in a minute. Yeah, it's going to be fairly easy to make. You just require, a reasonable set of drills. You could probably do it with a cordless drill, and files and general hand tools, But to make it here, I'm going to use the machinery I've got. But I will demonstrate some handwork as well. So I've just received over the last 2 weeks, and of course it's been 6 weeks coming because of COVID, some parts that we're going to construct this with. So we'll just move over to the my workbench over there and we'll have a look what we got. I get a bit of a mess of this, but it comes packaged well. Oh, blimey. Oh, well, that's one bit. Excuse me while I unpackage this. Okay, we'll get into this now. Oh, what have we got here? Okay, a couple of bearing blocks. Finally, a pair of 300mm, roughly a foot, linear round guide rails. So this is for the Z axis, okay? And of course they're fully supported with solid aluminium linear round rails. Now I've chosen linear round rails for this build because they're less than half the cost of linear square rails, and really for a CNC router of this caliber there is no advantage at all having linear square rails. So linear round rails is sufficient, and of course I've got 4 bearings. Of which that is one. Come on, you little devil. Okay, come out. There you are. That is a linear round rail bearing carriage. And he goes on there like that. Okay? Beautiful, feels lovely. These don't fall out either. In other words, the ball bearings don't fall out. They're totally captured in like a nylon. I think it's nylon or Teflon housing. You'll have to excuse the aircraft that's buzzing around because it's Saturday morning here, and of course Biggles and the rest of the aeronautical club have their aircraft up buzzing around. So I've got to film in between sort of thing. But never mind, we'll another set of bearings here, haven't we? Here we go. So 4 bearings and consider a lot. There we go. There's a couple of biplanes that buzz around here. That's I'm not sure what they're called. but they've got rotary 9 cylinders on. That's what you can hear. And it's a beautiful engine, I love them, but not while I'm filming. Okay. Well wrapped. Oh, look at that, lovely. Beautiful. More. And these should be somewhere in the region. Here we go, 600. So these are 600. So I've got 3 sets of these. So these are going to run a pair, 2 on, shall we say, there's going to be 2 on the x-axis and 4, so it's 2 either side, on the y. It just, using them in pairs and not singularly, not only gives you twice the amount of rigidity, but it stops the tramping effect. If you can imagine, you've got 2 running like this, and you've got a, sort of a support here. It stops the tramping if you have 2. All right, so you've got 4 bearings and 2 of these. It just stops the moving around, which is what you want. A lot of people use single ones. In some cases they're okay, but in the majority of cases I have found that they, if you're going to do a job, if you're going to make something like this of this caliber, it's not costing you too much extra to put these in pairs rather than singular. It wouldn't work at all in the X or the Y, but I'm talking about what some people use on the the X and the Z. It wouldn't work at all, but some people use single rails on the Y. Well, we're going double on all axes to make it as rigid for a certain sort of price point. Okay, now I'm going to try and do this complete build for less than $1,000. Now let's be reasonable about this. If you go buying a fairly substantial 60/40, for example, for a substantial one that you can really do something with, you're going to be paying $3,000. You're not going to be paying $1,500 or $2,000. You're going to be buying a toy. I was telling you quite bluntly. So that's another reason why I'm doing this build, to give you a chance to get something that you're really going to be happy with, and building it yourself. You get to understand everything about it. And if you look at some of my past videos, not only did I put the 3018 together, CNC Router, but I have designed and manufactured upgrades from manual machines to CNC machines with a lathe and a CNC mill. So, I've done this many times, and of course all those videos are available on my channel. You may enjoy them. So there's 3 pairs of those, and of course 1 pair of these for the Z. So it's going to be a fairly substantial machine. Now I'm going to tell you now, right from the very start, all of the detailed information of parts, pricing, what I paid, and I am not affiliated with any manufacturer or reseller. Now I'll go into that more detail on another video, because don't buy from a reseller, go straight to the source. You'll get them nearly half price. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is the next lovely little package. It's like Christmas Day, isn't it? And of course, we have may as well open this and show you. Beautiful. And these are 500 millimeters long. So the rails over there are 600 millimeters long. These are 500 millimeters long, because I want these totally enclosed, including the motor, okay, within the rail area. And what I'm looking for really is between 400, around about 400 in the Y, 400 in the X, and about 150 in the Y, something like that. Maybe 450. But that's what I'm looking for, that sort of area, because if I just grab some of the things I've made, most of my work is this size. Lovely. 3D. It's all 3D carving. Look at this beautiful one. This CNC router that I'm designing and going to make will make these. Alright? So, you know, if you wanted to make them and give them as birthday or Christmas presents, it'll do it. I suppose, you know, if you wanted to start yourself a little side business, it would do that as well. So, this is another little so there you go. That's a flexible coupling with a neoprene center. These, you know, any amount of flex or backlash that you may get on this coupling, because this is a decent coupling, you're not going to see at all. Not even worth worrying about. I bought these actually as a, if I can get it open. Oh, there we go. I bought these as a complete set. Okay, when I say a set, that's the screw, the ball nut, the coupling, and the I think these are what they call angular contact bearings. In other words, they don't allow the shaft to move around at all, and they come in mounting blocks. So it's like, you know, it's less work for you to do, and you know, for the price, they're very reasonable. Okay, that's the nut that goes on the end. and this is a dual, that's a dual bearing in there, angular contact bearing. Okay, with a multitude of holes in it, so it gives you a variety of ways of mounting it down. And of course, the structure of this is going to be, you know, aluminium. Okay, so this gets sort of mounted on so. So it's just really quite a bit of drilling and cutting and filing, but that's all it is. You know, these are all made for you. In the other videos I've made these myself, and you know, with the feedback I'm getting is, oh, it's good, you know, it's lovely, done a lovely job, but it's all too hard making them yourself. So you know, you buy them. I mean, I think this worked out to be about, I think these pair of bearings worked out to be like, I think it was less than $15. So it's well worth it. So we'll put that away. So I've got 3 of these, and I've got a 250 millimeter as well for the Z. Put that adjusting nut away, put it back in its box, and we'll try and move on. Incidentally, I don't know whether I mentioned or not, all the information in detail about the parts, what I paid, even down to the part numbers, sizes, drawings for the entire build, for everything, is available on, or will be available on Patron. Of course, it won't be available in one lump, because I'll be, you know, making it as we go and designing it as we go. So, you know, it gets put up in sections. And just a warning too that this just hasn't happened just to me, but Patron has put something in place. Like, if you become a patron, you wouldn't be allowed to view or even download any of the things on Patron until you've made at least one payment, because people have been pledging, downloading all the plans and the drawings and looking at everything, you know, on Patron, and then declining and walking away. So not a very nice thing to do. So Patron's put a stop to that, and as a consequence we all suffer. As in, you know, if you join at you know, sort of something like the 5th or the 10th of the month, you've got to wait until about the 2nd of the next month before you can actually log in and see everything or download anything at all. But I suppose that's life these days, isn't it? So, all available on Patron. So we'll put this away and move on to the next thing. This is one of my favourite parts, and that's the electronics and the stepper motors. So, like I say, I've built quite a few CNC machines, not just, you know, rotors and mills and things like that, but other machines, robotics and what have you. So there's a lot of work that goes in to calculate out. There's lots of filling in here. To calculate out what power and torque is required overall to do a certain job. Of course, I've applied the same, shall we say, thinking or technology to designing this. And I'll just take these out a second. These are the drivers. 4, because we're going to have 4 stepper motors on this. Alright, there's going to be 2 on the Y-axis, 1 on the X and 1 on the Z. Now we'll come to that in a minute. God, when do they package this well? Okay. These. Small, aren't they? Small on size, big on power. This is the largest NEMA 17 that you can possibly get. Okay? It's more than man enough to do the job. This, believe it or not, will actually develop 2 Newton meters. Okay? I'm not sure how many inches that is. I think it's somewhere in the region of 200 inches or something like that. You wouldn't hang on to this with your hands. It'd twist your wrist up pretty well. Look, the torque on the, and it's got 4 of these, obviously. The torque on these that you're going to put through those. Oh, incidentally, the ball screws are 12 by 4s. All right, so they're 1204s. So that is 12 millimeter in diameter at the largest diameter, and 4 millimeter pitch. Okay, so one full revolution will take the carriage 4 millimeters that way, whatever direction. And of course, these are more than sufficient to drive those. And this, I'm building this to actually machine aluminium as well, not just wood. It'll do aluminium. So that's the stepper motors. Now then, drivers. These are fairly new on the market, actually. Not plastic, all aluminium body. And these are going to be mounted on an aluminium plate inside the controller I'm going to make. Now, got a big surprise for the controller, and I'll come to that at the end of this little video. Now then, so 4 of those beautiful little things. Okay. Now, I opted for a fairly high power output. Let me get it out. Power supply. Now, this particular power supply is okay for all regions. It's a switch on the side here, but you can switch it to 230 or 220. 230 or 220 volt AC main supply. And this particular unit is a 24 volt. You know, the stepper motor's maximum voltage is 24. But this is a 14.6 amp supply. So in other words, it will run, it'll run all those stepper motors at full load, plus a little bit extra. Now that little bit extra, I may use it to power a device that I'm going to show you at the end of the video, or I may use a separate standalone power supply. Haven't decided yet. Okay, so that's power supply for it. And put that away. And now we'll move on to the spindle. Spindle! So this is what I'm going to be using. I've ordered it. I ordered it about 3 weeks ago, so it's probably going to take another 3 weeks to get here, but I don't need it probably for another 3 weeks. So it should arrive just in time. Okay. Let's make it a bit bigger for you to see. There you go. Now, I use the same company that I bought the 300 watt spindle for the 3018. This one is 800 watts and it's a 110 volt DC motor, and it will run out to 20,000 RPM, which is, you know, now we're getting in the realms of a decent bit of kit. ER11 collet with a full complement of collets, which I think is up to, what is it, about 5/16 of an inch, something like that, which is, you know, 7 or 8 millimeter, all the way down to, you know, sort of 1 millimeter, which is about a what is it, a 25th of an inch. Just for those of you who sort of are used to inches, I sort of tend to give, or try to give, imperial and metric, you know. But to give you some idea of size, 1 millimeter is roughly about 40 thousandths of an inch. Okay. So there you go. With the power supply, now the only job I have to do with that is give it a separate earth. Okay, you know, a lot of this sort of stuff comes in from China, and they don't require earth over there. God knows why, but there you go. So this, as it comes, wouldn't meet any sort of modern day standard of safety. So the first job is with that, before ever it gets plugged in, is to you know, bring it up to a standard where it is electrically safe. So that's that. But you know, general engineering of this product is pretty damn good. Other than that, so it comes, you know, with a motor housing as well. I already have one that I didn't use, so just to give you a rough idea of that size, well, there's one. Okay, it's solid aluminium, really good kit. You know, so like I say, I've used this company before for the little 3018. and you know, it's good. Can't grumble. Okay, now I've done a lot of research, you know, not just over the last few weeks, but years, on control for CNC machines. You know, I mean, like little 38, the little 3018 here runs on Gerbil, and it runs okay. You know, it's good for a start, and it uses an Arduino board as the electronic control. It works, it's fine, you know. My other machines, I've always used Mark III, which is PC based, and you know, bang for buck, it's pretty damn good. So for the past 4 years on my laser, I have been using what is known as an offline controller. In other words, it's not PC based at all, it's got a computer built into it, and never had a moment's problem. Does exactly what you want it to do, never complains. So an offline controller like this, and this is one for a laser too. This is a you know, this is a color screen that I plan to update my laser with. Of course, it's got a lot more buttons on it too. And this combined with, this really is the brain. Alright, so you have the control panel and the brain, which is somewhere else in the laser, controls the laser. You know, you sort of, you do your, you put your G-codes together, okay, in the software in your computer, save it on a USB drive and stick it in here and load it into the memory of this, which is inside here, which is normally, you know, a couple of gig, and you control the laser via these buttons, and off it goes. So it's a laser. Well, you can actually buy these for CNC machines too, but you know, there's you know, there's varying different types, and one to do, you know, 3D machining like I do, 3D carving, they get quite expensive. You know, you could go to a professional, you know, you can spend $2,000 or $3,000, you know, but for this build, it is solely for, you know, amateurs. But I wanted a controller that's going to be reliable and one that can support, you know, milling or laser, milling or a lathe or a CNC router, because I plan to partially move away from Mark III because you know, they're all getting sort of too greedy. You know, Mark IV, you know, you buy the Mark IV board, which is very similar to this, that, you know, you hook up to your Windows 10 PC, which, now that's a good thing, but there again you've got to buy, you know, either a tower and monitor, or you know, a laptop and run with it, and then you've got to purchase the program, which is $200 US, and you can only use it on that machine that you download it to. Of course, a Mark III, once you have it and you pay for the license, you can put it on a dozen if you want to. But that's all gone away. And of course, Mark III only works up to, I think, Windows. I think the very Windows Vista machines. Windows 10, it won't work on a genuine Windows 10 computer at all, because it is 32-bit based. I mean, some computers, that were Vista, were updated to Windows 10. It will work on those because they are 32-bit based, or they have a 32-bit arm or leg, as it were. So you can run it on those. But, everything's getting old now. So, eventually Mark III will probably fade out. I've got computers here that last me another 20 years, I suppose. But I'm catering for you guys. So I have found a decent controller. Now, there again, all the information of pricing and where I get my parts from are available on Patron. Okay? So, let's make it a little bigger. Okay. So there it is. Don't worry about the Chinese writing in here. Okay, because within the settings of this offline controller, it's a setting that you can choose many different languages, and it changes that to English. Okay? These are not well known yet. Now, I'm going by the specifications of the model. It's very, very highly specified. You could use this on an industrial machine. Now, why I went for this one is a number of reasons. Internally, this is a computer, okay? So, inside the internal memory of this is 8 gig. On these things, you're lucky if it's 2. Lucky. 8 gig. Okay, which is expandable to an additional 32 gig. Okay, which is huge, really, for one of these things. It works the same as Mark III. It has all the features of Mark III, plus, because this is 5 axes, and it will run the 5 axes all at the same time, flat out. It's a very powerful unit. And here's the 5 axes, so it's got X, Y, Z, A and B. You can control the feed and the speed. In other words, in percentage terms, you can raise the feed rate up to same as Mark III, and also, which is also important, you can raise the speed, spindle RPM up as the program's running. So, as you can with any professional electronic control device. That's what this is. Now, I purchased this myself. I am no way... I have no affiliation with any company whatsoever to do with CNCs, other than you all know Carveco, ArtCAM, and those type of programs like Autodesk. I am affiliated with them, okay, because they are the best. So this company, I didn't even approach them. I just went online and found the best deal I could. Now, you've got to be very, very careful, because these, right, are priced at $800 US. I picked up mine for $350 with an MPG, which is a manual pulse, okay, input, for 5 axes. That comes with the particular unit that I purchased for $350. So now, I did not purchase mine from a reseller. Now, that's another thing too. You see all these fantastic prices on eBay and everywhere else. Most of those are resellers. They are Chinese groups of ordinary people who go into a manufacturer, buy 50 or 100 of these units, and they sell them for about 3 or 4 or 5 times the price that they paid on eBay, posing that they are the seller, the manufacturer. In fact, they're not. So you've got to be very, very careful. And another thing too, I noticed, I actually got stung a little on several of the things that I've just bought from China because of COVID, and as a result of the Chinese government attacking other nations like Australia. You see the price and you think that's the price that you're going to pay, and you go through the rigmarole of giving all your card details and purchasing, and then right before you come to purchase, they whack you with 25% tax, because that's what they're doing now. So be very careful of that. Unfortunately, you can only get these from China. The Chinese government knows this, and now, as a result of, I suppose, them falling out with like the American, the European, and Australian governments, they're just penalising us with a 25% tax, and it's going to go further, I think. So that's not very nice. What can you say? Because up until a few weeks ago, I can't speak for other nations, but Australia and China had an open sort of relationship with buying and selling, and there was no tax involved. That's all changed. And so if if you're going to buy a CNC router machine of whoever, and it's advertised at $5,000, well, you're going to pay another after paying the freight on top of that and everything else, you're going to pay an additional 25% now. I mean, they're cutting their own throat, really, because now it puts them out of contention really, on a lot of things, and it's cheaper to buy American, really, or Australian for that matter. So anyway, we've sort of gone off subject a bit here. That's me just spouting off, I suppose. I just don't agree with it. It's wrong. So, this is the unit I've purchased, and it should be here in about 3, 4, 5 weeks maybe, not sure. But I've given myself plenty of time, because it's going to take me about 5 weeks to get to a point where I need this. And of course you don't need, incidentally, yeah, one of the things I bought it for, one of the things I bought this particular model for was not only the internal brain and its ability and speed and monitoring, okay, is full color screen. That's 7-inch screen. It's one that I can see. This is a, I don't know what it is. There's something with inches. There's a 4-inch screen. And look, I've been managing with a 4-inch screen okay, because you're reading it like this, you know. That's a 7-inch screen. I'd be able to read that, you know, 6 feet away, no problem at all. And it may be some mechanism where I can take a feed from this and put it to a screen. Don't know yet. We'll work that out. But it's, you know, it's plenty big enough for me. I mean, I'm not as blind as a bat yet, but I'd be able to see it just fine. Okay, so that's that. So all in all, it's going to be a substantial modern CNC little router that you can really do something with. Now, just because I'm using high-powered NEMA 17s doesn't mean to say that you can't use, you know, NEMA 23s if you want to. You know, sort of. I wouldn't go to the big ones. You know, you don't need any more than about 2 Newton meters at all, which is about 200 ounce. Was it 200 gram or 200 ounce inches? I think it's 200 ounce inches. Like I say, you know, it'll twist your blooming arm off. That's quite a bit. You don't need any more than that for this size and for this duty. And incidentally, I'm going to call this build, this router, the MIDI. Okay, for medium duty. So I hope you enjoy the MIDI CNC router build, and I hope you come along for the journey. It's going to be about 15 to 17 videos, because I try to show you absolutely everything that you will need to know if you want to copy what I'm doing. And of course, if you want to download the plans and specifications and information, then it's available on Patron. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again next time. I do have to go the beginning of the week to my local aluminium stockist and to choose some appropriate material. It's probably going to be 6mm angled plate aluminium. Doesn't need to be any thicker than that. Of course, I am building two. I'm building two CNC routers because the this is going to take me a month or so, but hopefully this side of Christmas I'm going to be starting a bigger one, which is going to be 1 meter by 1 meter work area and about 200 in the Z. So probably won't start that one until after Christmas though. But that's coming in the pipeline too. So a little bit of extra news there. And we'll see how this new controller performs. Now I have said in previous videos too that the control mechanism on the bigger one, I thought I was going to go to Mach 4, and I may do. But if this new controller works out the way I think it's going to work out, I might change everything to these type of controllers. You know, because it works out damn sight cheaper in the end. You know, really cheaper. Because I don't like the way that some suppliers of, shall we say, you know, sort of computer programs like Mach 4 are behaving. I think it's wrong. Mach 3 was all right. Mach 4, money hungry. Don't like the way they market it. Anyway, that's my personal thoughts. So I hope you come and join me for this build, which will be starting this week, and getting down to brass tacks with making the frames and starting to build it. So hope you've enjoyed it. Thumbs up, subscribe, and if you would like to, become a patron. So bye for now.